Bass for the Culture podcast. I am your girl Janine Wilson, and welcome to the show. And today, y'all, we got a very special episode. I got Divinity Roxx with me right now. We in the car, bro. But yeah, and I'm so excited. So we're gonna kick it with her and get into her story, man. She is one of my heroes, and man, I'm just so blessed to be able to spend this time with her. So without further ado, we about to get into it. Miss Divinity Roxx on bass.
Yo, what up though?
What up though? Thank you so much for coming on Bass for the Culture. We are so glad that you could be here with us today. And our main segment on the podcast is on bass. So how did you end up on bass?
I was going to college to be a journalist, and I was hanging out with some musicians at UC Berkeley, and one of my boys was like, yo, you're a bass player. You should. I told him I wanted to play the guitar, and he's like, nah, you should pick up the bass. So I did. I don't know. I just did, and then I fell in love with it, and the rest is history. I went to Victor Boot Bass Camp, and he asked me to go on tour with him, and that's how my whole career as a bass player started.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just like that. Okay, so let me get into this a little bit, because we have musicians of all like stages that listen to our podcast. So you went to Vic's Nature Camp, and then how did that turn into a tour? Like at the point that you got to his camp, were you already like good enough, like your chops was done baking? You were just or were you still kind of in your learning phase? And what did that journey look like? Did bass come natural for you, or what was your learning curve?
Okay, so I'm always baking. My chops are always baking. They're never done. I was an MC since I was 12, so I was rapping since I was young. And when I picked up the bass, I had a hip hop group during high school called Dat Boo, Divinity and the Breakfast Unit.
Yes.
We are like ATL legends on the underground hip hop scene. So when I picked up the bass, I naturally gravitated toward using it as a tool to be a better MC and a bigger MC. So I never really was trying to be a bass player, like behind artists or anything. It was just something to enhance my artistry. And when I first picked it up, I don't know, I fell in love with it. I will say this, and not many people know this, when I was around 11 or 12, I was a clarinet player. And my uncle was a I know, I love the clarinet. I loved that damn clarinet. My uncle was a saxophone player, and he had a band. They used to play like Confunction and Earth, Wind and Fire in my grandparents' basement. And he started playing bass, though he was a saxophone player. And I spent a lot of time with my uncle. I loved my uncle. So he had a little studio set up in his house, and we would do jam sessions, but I always wanted to play his saxophone because that's what I really wanted to play.
Okay.
But he would put a bass in my hand, and I remember looking at it and being like, I don't know what to do with this. I loved the bass though. Like, I loved the music. I gravitated toward the bass lines and music. But when he put it in my hand, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to play it. I didn't know, what to do with my hands. So I just gave it back to him like, I don't want this. But then when I went to college and picked it up, I don't know if something clicked, and I got it, and I fell in love.
Oh my goodness.
So he's planted the seed, I think,
okay,
for me to really become a bass player.
Yeah, man. And do you remember, what was your first bass?
My first bass was a shiny Washburn, red, glittery red Washburn. And I chose that bass over a Fender jazz bass when I went to the store because it was cute. It was glittery and red.
That's what's up. All right, so were you self-taught? Did you take lessons?
When I first got into playing, at college, I found this female teacher, and I took a 2-hour train ride. She lived in San Francisco. I don't even know who she was. She was a bass player, and I went to go take a lesson with her, but it just didn't feel right. Okay. I don't know what it was. When I first picked up the bass, the first thing I did was bought a Mel Bay book. I don't know if y'all know Mel Bay, but Mel Bay was the book that I had as a clarinet player. Okay. So I went and bought his book for bass and taught myself how to read bass clef. So because I had that classical sort of music training from school, from being in the 3rd grade up through 8th grade, I played in the orchestra in middle school and all that stuff. I just took everything that I had learned about being a musician from elementary school on and tried to apply it to the bass. Okay. So I taught myself how to read. I taught myself how to play scales. I already knew my major scales, minor scales, chromatic scales. And I would just practice that. And I mean, I used to practice just all the time, up and down the neck, up and down the neck. And then I played along to all my favorite songs because Atlanta hip hop was so bass driven.
Yeah.
So I just played all the bass lines from my favorite songs, from Outkast, Goody Mob, Organized Noise, all the music I grew up listening to. I rediscovered that music was played by some of the greatest bass players. I mean, my mom used to be Deborah. Oh my God. Yeah. There was a bass player named, what was her name? She played in the group called Edith's Wish, which was a rock group in Atlanta. Atlanta's music scene was so diverse.
Yeah.
There was a group called Johnny Prophet. There was a group called 3-5 Human, and all these people became my friends. Taurus Mateen, I don't know if y'all know Taurus.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was in Taurus's band. Taurus gave me my first gig with him and his brothers. So I toured. I played at the local clubs with Taurus. Taurus was the first person to give me money to play bass.
Man, come on, and he is a legend.
He's a legend. Yep.
Okay.
He gave me. We played a gig, and I think he gave me $75, $50 or something. And I was like, oh, you can get paid to do this? He was like, yeah. He said, don't ever let nobody not pay you.
Wow.
Don't ever not get paid to play. And that really that was my bass foundation. So then we used to play behind poets, and with Taurus, it was all about improvisation.
Okay.
Taurus used to tell me, don't listen to nobody, just play.
Feel it.
It's the worst advice ever. Don't give nobody that advice. But it was great. He knew what I needed. So I didn't like, I'd be like, man, Marcus Miller is killing. I want to be like Marcus. He's like, no, don't be like nobody. Be like yourself. Just play. He's like, you got it in you. I mean, I used to play with Taurus and play with my back to the audience.
Oh.
He would show me the bass line on stage in front of everybody.
Oh my goodness.
I would have to catch the bass line, play it so he could solo all over it. And that was my lesson from Taurus.
That's amazing.
It's crazy.
So you had like one of the greatest bass players actually mentor you and help you on your journey, man.
On stage.
Man.
That was before Vic.
That's wonderful. So, all right, so you got your start with Taurus. And then you went to Vic, got into his camp, and he's like, bam, you going on tour with me.
Yeah, because I had started rapping and playing, and he had never seen anybody do that. And he was like, yo, your energy, your whole thing, you're playing, you're rapping, you can come on tour with me. Do you want to sing backgrounds? I'll feature you. You can play your songs. He let me sell my CDs.
Come on.
Victor was, I'm telling you, for me, he's everything. Because no artist in the world is ever going to let you do that as an artist.
Yep.
He recognized the artistry in me, and he was like, come on, let's go. It's amazing.
That's a beautiful thing, and that goes to show, we talk about Victor Wooten all the time, and his character, like, we saw him with Corey Wong, and for you to be an artist in your own right, a legendary artist, and you just a sideman and you loving it, like, it says a lot about him. So that is so amazing that was like a part of your foundation. Man, all right, so you got to Vic, you went on tour with him, you learned a lot, I'm sure, touring with Victor Wooten.
Yes.
And then, so we all know, if you know Divinity, you know for sure that a lot of the world knows her as Beyonce's MD. So, you know, we got to touch on that just a little bit on how that was. And I know y'all was the Sugar Mamas, right?
Yeah. That was the unofficial name of the group, the Sugar Mamas.
And wasn't her goal to put together a female band to inspire girls who wanted to be musicians to, you know, pick up an instrument and play? Wasn't that kind of the goal of that whole situation?
Yeah, Beyonce had wanted an all-female band for a long time, and I think she had been doing her thing for a long time and had never really been in that situation where there were all women around her. So she had always had these male bands, and when she got to the level she got to where she could call the shots, she said, I want to put together an all-female band. So she went to Kim Burse, who was the A&R who actually discovered Destiny's Child and got them signed. She went to Kim Burse, who was her musical director, and said, hey, let's put together an all-female band. So they put together worldwide auditions, and I went and auditioned and got the gig.
Man.
Yeah, and then Kim kind of anointed me, and BB is like the MDs when she left, because she didn't tour with us. She's like, when y'all go on the road, y'all the MDs. And so B was relying on us to craft the show, because you craft the show, right, in rehearsals.
Right.
And then when you get out on stage and you start doing it, you start realizing, okay, I want to do this different. I want to do this different. Hey, we should add this. We should cut this. How do we do that? And so we were the people she would bring into the room to communicate to the band what was going to happen next.
Okay.
I remember when Michael Jackson died, we were on tour and we were playing Philadelphia, and she's like, the greatest artist alive died, and he was a huge influence on her.
Yeah.
The day of the show, we come in her dressing room, she's like, we need to do a Michael Jackson tribute. So everybody had seen us do this Michael Jackson tribute. We made that up in the dressing room before we went out to play it.
Whoa.
And so that's the type of stuff that we were responsible for doing as musical directors.
Right. So you were doing a lot of her live arrangements for the tour, right?
Well, we collaborated on that. So it wasn't like I was putting those arrangements together. It was a huge collaboration between Kim, us, the band, me throwing out ideas. I love the Beyonce Experience is such a special tour because we were all in a room for 8 hours a day, 6 days a week, throwing stuff up in the air and catching it and playing it and trying it and saying, okay, that works. Okay, that doesn't work. Okay. So it wasn't like one person was just crafting a whole show and saying, okay, y'all go play this. It was so collaborative. Like we would be like, you like that? I think that'll work.
Nice.
You like that? I don't know about like that. Let's do it like this. Oh, that's cool, but let's try it like this. Like we really, and we were new, and she was excited. So it was just a collaboration. She was in rehearsal every day with us. It was just a special time, man. It really was.
Wow, it sounds like it. And that was your first indie gig, right?
Girl, it's my first. Beyonce's band, I always say, was where I learned how to be a bass player.
Okay.
Because before that, I was an artist who played bass as a lead person in my own band.
Okay.
I wasn't ever really anybody's bass player.
Got you.
You know, but with her, I was her bass player, and I learned so much about what it meant to be in that role.
Yeah, and that's what was dope. Like when I first came to know you, like back in the day, and it was like, that's one of the things that I admired about you when you did Black Betty. That was like the first record that I remember that I got hip to you on.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, okay, who is this? And she plays bass, like, and I was like, I have to know her. And it was like, oh my gosh, like you were up there with Deborah Killings to me, like just my sheroes, like for real. And just such a huge inspiration. And you're that for a lot of musicians. I can't even just say girls, because there's a lot of dudes that's like, yes, Divinity is it.
Oh,
but you are just such a huge inspiration, and just to see your journey from how you just did it, and you're doing it your way. That's what's most inspiring to me. You know, for you to be able to be independent, to say, I want to be an MC. You don't let anybody box you in. So, real quick question, because we know you got bars. Like, was that just always a thing? Was hip hop like a first love?
Yes,
like,
girl.
If y'all know Divinity, she got bars, bro.
Yo,
like y'all know.
Hip hop is my first love. I was born. You know, my mom comes from the first generation of hip hop artists. When my mom had me, she was 19 years old. So she was young. She was into all the new hip hop.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up with records like the Sugar Hill Gang was in my mom's record collection. She had tapes with Slick Rick, and man, when I listened to MC Lyte and Queen Latifah, like I just knew I was them. I was them when I was a kid. Money Love, what? Roxanne Shante came and ripped the whole game up with her diss records. I mean, we was in the streets ciphering, and hip hop was freedom. I loved words and I loved reading when I was a kid. So hip hop was like, wow, I can express, I can tell stories with rhythm and beat and rhymes, and I can create these pictures with words and music and get people to feel something and see something in their minds. The most powerful thing about writing songs is when you can take an image that you were just describing and plant it in somebody's mind, and it grows from there. That is so powerful. That's what makes us a great songwriter. Somebody's listening to your lyrics and they actually have a picture in their mind. The mind is the most powerful thing in the world. So like, just to be able to do that and experience that, and people have done that for me, and to be able to turn around and do that for other people, it's just, I don't know, I can't even put it into words. It's just a feeling.
It is. It's almost a
just the feeling without a name.
It is, and it's funny that you say that because your 2016 album, I'm Possible.
Yes.
I peeped that.
You're bringing me back.
Yeah, and that, to me, it felt personal. Every single song on that album felt personal. And you wrote from your, I could almost see, I had a picture in my mind of your lyrics. And that's powerful, you know, because it speaks, a lot of stuff just speaks to the heart, you know.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and the song that you did with Victor Wooten, man, that's my favorite on there.
Oh, Can It Be So Hard?
Be So
My
Hard.
God, that song was,
yes.
I was really studying Buddhism and Tao and how the eyes are the thieves. And so it's like every time I go back, and then I was thinking about reincarnation. Every time I come back to this earth, a little piece of my soul dies. Help me to live from my heart, not my eyes. Can it be so hard to do that? Yo, oh my gosh, yes. Oh.
And I ain't gonna say that the bass line was so dope on there. I was like,
yeah, thank you. Oh, thank you.
I played that album out, like, for real.
That was gonna be my last record.
Really?
I was like, this is my last record. I'm never gonna make another record. So this is gonna be it. And then I'm gonna move on and do something else. I was like, I'm gonna go be a professor, or
oh wow,
I'm gonna go be I didn't know what I was gonna go be, but I was like, I'm done. I've been doing this for so long. I mean, I've been in the rooms with some of the biggest people in the world. I've watched some of the biggest things in the world go down, and I just never had. At that point, I was really frustrated with my career and my trajectory of my career, and I was like, I had those dreams of getting the big record deal and doing it like that, you know, and that wasn't happening for me as a black woman playing rock and hip hop and doing it my way. And so I was like, I'm done. I'm gonna make one more record and put it out in the world, and then I'm gonna walk away.
I'm so glad you did know. I
haven't made another Divinity Roxx record, but I'm working on one.
Because we got to talk about Roxx Kids.
Yes.
Because that is so special. The work that you're doing in the children's lane is special. We need you. We need the Gracie's Corners. We need all of that for our black kids to have representation, to see that, like, their black is beautiful. They can do and be anything. And I know I told you this, but, like, I'll be listening. Like, I'll be affirming myself in the morning. Like, ready, set, go. Let's get out the door. Like,
oh, that's so great.
It's such an inspiration, and it's much needed. So whatever drove you to and moved you to do that, thank that, because it's amazing. So I know you love kids, but what made you want to do a kids album?
You know, it was crazy because during the pandemic, everything shut down, and I had always said that I was gonna do a kids, something that inspired children. I wanted to write books, I wanted to make music, and I had an opportunity during the pandemic to do so. So I wrote a song, I Could Be Anything, 20 years ago.
Okay.
That was on this label called MeWe. It was a subsidiary of Rawkus Records. And then that record, a lot of things happened with it, and I got my heart broken with that album with that song, because I'm not going to get into too much detail, but sometimes your ideas, people take them and then they do something else, and then their thing blows up based on what you did. And so I was really frustrated with that, but I was like, you know what, when I get older, I'm going to come back and I'm going to write kids music. That was going to be my retirement. I'm going to garden like my grandmama and write kids books and make kids songs, you know.
Wow.
And during the pandemic, a friend of mine called me and asked if I had some kids music, because I had presented that record to him 20 years ago. And he was looking for some music for the Scholastic program. And I was like, well, what are you looking for? And I was sitting at home. I was going to Berkeley online. So I was studying every day. And he asked me for like 7 songs. So I wrote 5 songs for him. He was like, I need it in 2 weeks. And I was like, bro, that's a lot in 2 weeks. So I wrote 5 songs. I sent it to him. He showed it to the company, and they loved it. And so they were like, we're gonna add these to the program. And then through, I don't know, just some kind of miracle, they wanted to turn 2 of those songs into books.
Whoa, okay.
And when I realized that I was gonna have 2 books coming out, I was like, I should make a record. Like, that's silly just to have 2 books come out and not a record. So I made a kids record, and in my house. This whole record was done at the crib.
Wow.
And then it got nominated for a Grammy.
Yes, it did.
So it's like, oh my goodness. And my family was so excited because the music was inspiring to the little kids. My little cousins, you know, they're dancing and singing these songs. Like, I would send it to them to test it out. And they loved the music, and the music was so inspiring. So then I was like, yo, I guess we doing kids music now. What? Okay. This is fun.
And I got you a nomination. Like, come on.
Wait, a kid's record.
All the great music you've been putting out, but
this record got me a nomination, and the recognition that came from it, it was beautiful. It has been beautiful. And I guess it's a testament to when you do something for other people, when you do something for somebody else, how the universe just uplifts you.
Yeah.
You know,
because that positivity has to come from somewhere. You know, that it's in you. The light is in you. So thank you for sharing it with us. And I come from a family educator, so like I'll be sending your music, like play these for the kids, because this is what's up. We need this.
Yeah. Now I gotta really. I'm working on another record for children. I'm excited about it because it is fire. All these beats are crazy. This time I'm collaborating with another producer because it's really hard to do everything.
Yeah.
And still be out here gigging. And I compose music for theater. I would co-compose music for this play, The Boy Who Kissed the Sky. It's a children's play based off the life of Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And then I'm working with this other theater at this other show at the Alliance Theater in Atlanta. It's just so much stuff is coming in that genre, in the kids genre, and it's so broad and it can be so many things. So theater and TV and film and, you know, all these things are, the doors for all these things that I've always wanted to do are opening in that world. And it's beautiful.
Star Child. Did you just wrap that up?
Yes, we did Star Child, my debut one-woman show. I'd always wanted to do a one-woman show. Like, I'm doing all the things that I've always wanted to do.
Love to see it.
One-woman show was really beautiful. It was the first draft, and this theater just put it up. I was doing a kid's show, and the creative director from the theater walked up to me and said, "Do you have a story to tell?"
Do I?
And I said, "Actually, yeah, I do. And I've been working on this one-woman show." And he was like, "Well, we want to produce it." I hadn't written it. I had not written it. I had just been writing little stories here and there. And he was like, "Well, we're gonna help you put a team together so that you can finish writing it." So he hooked me up with this dramaturge, and I was sending her drafts, and she would ask me questions, and I'd go back and write another draft. And so we did this for a year, and then we put it up. And I had a good friend of mine, Daniel Watts, directed. He's an incredible artist, writer, poet, Renaissance, multidisciplinarian. And yeah, we put it up. It was special. It was really, really special. We're gonna put it up again.
It's amazing because I need to catch that. So if you do another run,
it's so personal. It really goes into the life that I don't really talk about.
Okay.
Growing up, and what it was like, and just everything. It's very special.
That's wonderful. I know you like kind of pour out a little bit in your music, so just to see another level of your vulnerability, like, yeah, I'm here for it. And I think it's amazing. I'm so grateful that everything is happening for you because you're so deserving of it. For real. And I know we might be at the airport. So.
I know, we're driving to the airport right now. I'm so sorry. It's been crazy.
Real quick, base question. Do you have a favorite key to play in?
D minor.
Oh, come on, D minor.
I know.
I never hear that. That is amazing.
They say it's the saddest key.
It is. It is, but I love minor keys. Like, it evokes so much emotion. I'm a fan of minor keys. Come on, D minor.
I don't know why.
And then, if you could only play on one string on your bass, they took all your other 3 strings away. What string you choose?
The D string.
Yo, your answers are so different. Yes. Wow. Okay.
Everybody says E?
Well, I usually get like E is the answer, or sometimes A.
I like the A string. I could rock a good A string situation.
And I know that you are you play a 4-string mainly, right?
Yeah,
I used to see you play a 5.
Yeah, I play 5. I play 5 when I tour. Well, like when I tour with Fantasia, I play the 5.
Okay.
Touring with B. When you go on tour with artists like that, you got to play the 5-string. When I play Black Girls Rock, I'll play the 5-string. Cause you got to get that low B, and that's standard tuning for me.
Okay.
I love people who mess around with the tuning.
I tune flat.
You do? Yeah. Yeah. No, it makes sense. It does make sense. When I'm playing Jimi Hendrix stuff, I tune flat because he liked to play a half step down. So, because he want that E flat and an open E flat. I like it, but I just tune, girl, I'm just trying to keep it easy and simple for myself. I love my boy Trey. Every time I pick up his bass, I be like, what the hell is going on with this tuning, bruh?
How does he tune?
All kind of crazy. I don't even remember. I think he tunes a whole step down, or he be tuning, I don't know, Trey shit. I be like, Trey, I don't even understand what's happening with your bass.
Yeah, and that's why, like, I can't just pick up somebody else's bass up because I tune flat. Like, I have, of course, B flat. I tune flat, and it's like when I pick up standard tune, I'm like, okay, wait a minute, let me reset.
Bro, when you tune, even when I just drop D, I have to rethink everything. Oh, delta.
So you go into departures.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, even when I just drop D, I have to rethink what's happening on bass.
So how would you, like, as far as your playing go, your bass playing, because you are so broad in your versatility. Like, you could be funky one minute, you could play rock, you could do it all. What's your favorite genre to play? If you have funk.
Just because it's so fun. The F is for fun. Funk is fun. Something about the pocket, something about the way it makes everybody feel. It brings joy. Funk is joyful.
And you exude that. Like, you are just so badass when you're on stage and you had a bass in your hand, dribs flying everywhere. And I'm like, everybody should just, like, one time in their life experience you live on stage because it's everything.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you so much. Thank you for just spending this time with us and for being on Bass for the Culture. I appreciate it so much.
Yo, I appreciate you so much because I know this was tough.
It's okay, but we made it happen, and, like, for real, big Bass for the Culture salute to our girl Divinity Roxx on bass.
Give me some. Thank you, my love.
Thank you.
You did it.
I got you here safe in one piece.
You did.
Oh, wait a minute now. Oh.